Sailors, seamen, and overall people who spend a vast amount of time in the ocean. Have you ever witnessed something you would catalog as supernatural or unusual? What was it like? Oh, sure. Lots of auditory hallucinations. You're all alone in the middle of the ocean and you hear your name being called all the time. Or you're down below and you hear someone running on the deck. Perhaps that's where the myth of the sirens came from? Do you get any sort of training or warning like, look, you'll eventually hear somebody calling your name? Or do you just get used to that sort of stuff? Or you're down below and hear someone running on the deck? Yeah, that's a no from me. Machine spaces when the kit isn't running. I hate doing my rounds down there because even though I know no one else is awake at 0200, I feel eyes on me. Ever stood lookout during the day on super cloudy weather and seen lightning where there wasn't any? It happened to me, and it had me questioning my vision a couple of times. My dad's done some trips into the Atlantic single-handed. He's reported many hallucinations, mostly auditory, like hearing people call his name and so on. But more scarily, once he thought he saw a container ship about to run him down. You can't really sleep properly for the first few days because of all the coastal fishing boats, so it was probably just down to sleep deprivation. Alone in a small boat on the Atlantic. That's gonna be a huge no thank you from me. I hear people call my name sometimes because of sleep deprivation, and I'm not even out at sea, so I can't imagine how much worse it would be alone on the ocean. How do the fishing boats stop you from sleeping? Navy SEALs report very similar hallucinations when they do part of their training that involves rowing a boat around an island over several days. Big things coming at them, usually container ships, but sometimes big trucks, etc. When my daughter was first born, she never slept. It was months before she would sleep 3+ hours at a time. I was so sleep deprived that to this day, I swear that my breast pump would talk to me. The noise of it pumping sounded like, do it, and oh no, and a few other things I don't remember. There were a few nights that I woke my husband up so he would be with me, and I wouldn't have to pump alone. The closest to supernatural, or at least something I can't explain, happened halfway between Cornwall and the Sicilies. We were sailing in a fresh breeze, 5 to 6 foot swells maybe. That's perfectly fine sailing weather, but the boat will rock and there will be quite a bit of noise from the wind, the sails, and waves. So we sail happily along when suddenly the sea is perfectly flat and everything is quiet, like somebody turned the sound off. I look around and the water is pitch dark. It only lasted for a minute and then everything was back to normal. I got a really eerie feeling. I have a theory. I think you sailed over a large patch of spilled oil. Half serious, but this would explain the ocean's color, and in large enough quantity, the oil could suppress the swell. Man, when I read your account, I got this thought, there is nothing here, like absolutely nothing, but depth under your ship. Oceans are amazing, but scary as hell. For some strange reason, this is the most unsettling one I've heard so far. Like someone turned the sound off. I've had similar experiences on land. Things just seem to stop. It makes the hair on your arms stand up. I am convinced that you sailed over Cthulhu or something. I was a sailor in the Navy. While I was on lookout duty on the bridge at night, a dude walked and stood beside me breathing hard. I was looking out at sea and I was blocking the stairs going down. So I turned around to whisper sorry, and what do you know? There's no one. I was tired, so I chalked this up to hallucination, but it felt real. How many hours were you on duty that night? I swear I had experiences like that, even in the barracks on land from sleep deprivation. Wow, this is frightening. There was no one around at all? No, there was the officer on watch, helmsman, petty officer, two navigators, and another lookout. It wasn't crowded, and no one else was standing next to me, but I was the closest to the only stairway in the bridge. So yeah. Oh, I forgot to add, the bridge is nearly pitch dark, and that's so we can look out better. But yet the person was standing so close to me that at the corner of my eye, he looked like he was in uniform. That sounds like a classic third climber hallucination. When you're so tired that your brain loses the grip of where your body is in space, which creates the illusion of your body being someone else's body. One of the most magical nights I ever had was when I was serving in a New Zealand Navy warship and we were homeward bound after a long and unpredictable deployment. I was dealing with a bout of insomnia and decided to go down aft for a breath of fresh air. It was a very dark, moonless night, and as my eyes adjusted to the darkness, I really began to appreciate the phosphorants glowing in our wake, bright green against the dark water. Then I looked closer to see a pod of dolphins playing in the phosphorants, leaving their own bright glowing trails as they streaked through the water. Now, I knew what it was and what caused it, but it was something that I imagine would have appeared quite mystical to sailors back in the past. It was stunning, though. I sat and watched them for about an hour. Such a vivid memory. Seeing bioluminescent bacteria is such a cool experience. I had the pleasure of seeing it once on the coast of Cape Cod in the summer. All the waves were crashing with this blue glow along the wave pattern. Really a surreal feeling. We were out kayaking in the middle of the night on a bioluminescent bay in the Caribbean. Any sort of splash or disturbance to the water would illuminate it. It was crazy to see. When we became still and let the water calm, we could see schools of fish darting deep beneath the surface. Their movements would trigger the bioluminescence, and the fish would light up briefly. Then we saw a very large object illuminate momentarily as it glided under our kayaks before it disappeared into the depths. Didn't stick around to find out what it was. Nope. When I was roving patrol on a submarine, I always thought I saw someone walking parallel to me down the missile compartment upper level. If I was on the port side, then I saw them on the starboard side and vice versa. I always chalked it up to pipes and valves creating weird shadows. Additionally, it felt heavy on that level, like there was some sort of presence. The feeling you get when someone's watching you. I never told anyone. Then one day, a few weeks into patrol, one of the other rovers asked me if it felt weird up there. He specifically said that he saw someone up there too, just like I had. We shared stories and then talked to the third rover, and he said I only go up there to do my rounds every hour, then I get the hell out of that haunted level. Low frequency sounds can cause that kind of eerie feeling. You can't hear it, but you can feel something is off. But you can't exactly determine what it is. I imagine a submarine's engine is running most of the time, and being sound dampened, it probably doesn't make a lot of sound in the audible spectrum. I wouldn't be surprised if low frequency sound in an otherwise quiet environment was the cause of that feeling. If this is a US sub, we have shipyard deaths all the time. It wouldn't surprise me if a part got haunted and then installed. Apparently, it is fairly common to feel an extra person or presence, and some people find it comfortable and reassuring. I've felt it at times of extreme emotional distress in my life. For me, it might be real, a spirit or spiritual guardian, or God providing reassurance and respite. Or, more prosaically, it can be that the human mind goes into fuzzy imagined comfort when overwhelmed by stress. I guess the difference between those two possible explanations is one's personal faith. I've been on boats and I've been on a submarine, but not long enough on either to feel any haunted or creepy feelings. But I agree with most of the replies here. When you're out at sea, you can't help but try to identify every sound and every shadow for survival's sake, and I'm sure the mind plays games with you too. I can only imagine how it was like for the sailors of the ancient world. That's it for today's video. Please click like and subscribe if you enjoyed it. Have a great day. Bye! Sailors, seamen, and overall people, seamen.